Hello everyone, and welcome to a very interesting game I said I have prepared for you this evening, and I know what you're all thinking. Dude, Ivan Ljubicic is not a chess player, he's a tennis player. Well, you are right about that, but you might be surprised that he really enjoys chess. Which shouldn't really surprise you, as I'm pretty sure everyone enjoys chess. He who says he doesn't either doesn't know the rules or he's lying for some reason. I mean, why wouldn't someone enjoy chess? Now, this here game, it was played online, and well, Ivan Ljubicic doesn't really need any introduction, but in case any of you haven't heard of him, I will just give a couple of sentences in short. Now, he's been playing tennis for the most part of his life. He turned pro in 1998, and he continued his professional tennis career all the way until 2012 when he played his last tournament, and after that he started managing and coaching other players. At the peak of his career in 2006 he was ranked number 3 in the world, and I believe in 2013, after he retired, he started coaching Canadian Canadian tennis player Milos Raonic, and after that I believe as of 2015 he's coaching his old tennis rival Roger Federer. So I was very interested to see this game, and the reason I have this game is because Ljubicic contacted me during the 2018 candidates tournament. He was inquiring about some general questions, you know, where can he watch the candidates, this and that, and I was also very impressed that he was interested in chess. So as of then we stayed in contact, and this game he sent it to me today. So this is the first game I've actually seen him ever play, and I really enjoyed the ending, so I asked him if it's okay to show this game on my channel. As he is a very well-known figure in the chess world, I thought it would be a nice way to promote chess. And I also asked him to send me a couple of photos, you know, if it'd be nice if they were a high resolution. So he did send me a couple of them. Let's just check them out. Here is a photo of him and Roger Federer. Also, we do have another one, also of him and Roger Federer, and here is a goofy one of him when he was a bit younger. Also, we have a photo of him teaching his children how to play chess, and this is one where he teaches his daughter, and this is the one where his son is making the moves. So there, some photos for us to enjoy. Now let's see the game. He's playing against a person named Igor Rosior from Moldova. Now, as we don't know who this person is, that is the reason the hoodie guy is there again, and the reason why I'm wearing a hoodie, for those of you who are maybe new to this channel. So let's see the game. Igor Rosior opens with e3. It's an opening that you will very rarely see. It's called the Van Kruijs opening, after Dutch master Martin van Kruijs, who won the Dutch championship a long time ago with this move. I mean, you will very rarely see this, but I've actually seen it in a tournament I played this year, where a colleague of mine from my hometown defeated, well, he didn't defeat him, he outplayed completely a FIDE master with e3, but then he lost the game afterwards. But okay, Ljubicic counters with d5, we have d4, and now e6. We have knight to f3, knight to f6, transposing into the call system, h3, and bishop to d6. Now, I will not tell you the rating of the players, but it is something you will have to guess for yourself. So feel free to comment to add your maybe suggestions in the comments. How high rated do you think these players are? And we have knight to c3. Knight to c3 by white, it's always better to proceed, for example, c4 immediately, and only after this pawn is pushed, then play knight to c3. You don't want to block your pawn with the knight. So, knight to c6, and we have a3 now. It's a move that can be useful. It's not really something you want to play. Maybe simply continue developing with bishop to d3, but alright. Bishop to d7, bishop to d2, we have castles, and knight to b5. Now going for that bishop on d6, which seems like a reasonable idea. Bishop to e7. Ljubicic doesn't want to give up his bishop pair, so he retreats with the bishop, and now knight to e5. Knight captures, d captures on e5, and now knight to e8. Knight to e4 might be an interesting idea. But Ljubicic seems to follow the famous Ivanchuk principle that the hardest move is with the knight back, but I mean, if the knight is fine on e4, then it's always better to go forward than backwards. Maybe go immediately for this bishop and deprive white of his bishop pair. But okay, knight to e8, preparing f6 to break white's center. And here, Mr. Igor Rosior plays f4. f4 is a blunder, but here we seem to have a case of double blindness. As Ljubicic follows up with his plan of pushing f6, whereas here is a nice moment for you to kind of pause the video and find the move that actually could have been played, which wins a piece for black. So it's not that difficult, but it's bishop to h4 with check. Now it doesn't matter if you block this with g3, black will simply capture, and at one point you will have to play king to e2, then the bishop will no longer be defending the knight on b5, and then bishop captures on b5 will simply win a piece. But okay, it was a 10-minute game, 10 minutes each, 0 seconds increment, so, you know, tactics will be missed. Which is to be expected. I mean, even Samuel Shankland misses some tactics. We have f6 and bishop to c3. We have a6, knight goes to d4, f captures on e5, f captures on e5, and now bishop to g5, going after that e3 pawn. Queen to e2, white defends this, and now bishop to h6. I was actually very impressed by this bishop to h6 move, which makes room for the queen to come to g5. You might immediately get the urge of going bishop to h4, but after bishop to h4 check, yes, you do force the king to d1, you've deprived him of castling, and then immediately you maybe want to rush down with rook to f2. Seems very aggressive and very powerful, but actually after queen to g4, black doesn't really have anything here. And you have to be very careful. For example, now if you proceed, c5, knight moves, knight f3, now white, this rook really doesn't have anywhere to go. The bishop is attacked twice, and after you move the bishop, queen g3 will win the rook. Now you have to give up the exchange, either you'll capture the bishop or the knight, and then white is simply up the exchange. So bishop to h6, a nice quiet move. We have queenside castle and bishop, queen to g5 now, going after the e3 pawn. We have knight to f3, as you can't defend both pawns. The e3 pawn is attacked and also the e5 pawn. So white decided to protect the e5 pawn, knight to f3, and now comes queen captures, so grabbing a pawn. Queen captures, bishop captures with check, king b1, and now Ljubicic is up a pawn. We have c5, bishop to d2, offering a trade of bishops, bishop captures, rook captures, and here you definitely want to continue with a move like b5, but we seem to have a case of another case of double blindness. Ljubicic proceeds here with c4. c4 doesn't work in this particular situation, and you know, I'm pretty sure maybe you want to pause the video, see why it doesn't work, is because the bishop on d7 is undefended. So here white could actually capture this. Bishop captures, and if you capture, then rook captures on d7. So black would actually give up his extra pawn if white proceeded as he should have. But after c4, white decided to go for a different plan. Rook to d4. We have knight to c7. Where bishop to c4 is still an idea, but white continues with his plan. He's not interested in winning a pawn. Rook to h4 with ideas of knight to g5 followed by knight captures or rook captures on h7. We have b5 further expanding on the queen side, and now knight to g5 going after the h7 pawn, which is a bit weird plan. Ljubicic simply plays h6 and he kicks the knight back. So as you can see, white's previous 5 moves were rook coming to d4, then rook coming to h4, knight coming to g5, knight coming back to f3. So all of these moves were basically stopped by this one h6 move. So it's not a plan you want to really commit to, as you know, if white just thought about what he was doing, he would see that h6 prevents everything. But okay, a5, further expanding on the queen side, and now we have knight to d4. And knight to d4 seems like a powerful square for the knight. Yes, the knight does occupy a central square. But where's the knight gonna go? b5, c6, the bishop on d7. You might think that it's not very active, but it's actually controlling all of the squares that this knight can go to. And later it can easily be activated via bishop to e8 to g6. So okay, we have b4. a captures on b4, a captures on b4, and g4. g4 is an interesting move that prepares g5. Of course, white wants to break open here all the files on the king side, play rook to g1 maybe. But here, also, I was very impressed by this move. Ljubicic plays the strongest move recommended by the engine. He plays rook to f4. And now white is no longer able to push g5, as the rook on h4 is undefended. Also, the knight on d4 is under attack. And after the knight moves, then the rook is coming to e4 to attack the e5 pawn. So here, knight to e2 was played. You could try a move like c3, but c3, then you open up this diagonal, then bishop to e8 is coming, and this would be very uncomfortable for white. For example, if you play something like, let's say, bishop to e2, you have to play something, then bishop to g6 check, king moves, and rook to a1 will pick up the h1 rook. So, after rook to f4, we have knight to e2, rook to e4 attacking the knight, and now rook to h2. Preparing to defend the knight, and maybe go to f2 and place the rook on g2, the bishop on g2. Rook captures on e5. There was really no way of defending this pawn. Knight to c1, and then now knight to e1, pinning that knight on c1. Bishop to e2, and here it's a very interesting position. Black is completely winning here, and there are a couple of interesting ways you can win this game. In the game, Ljubicic played b3, which is also winning, but there is another interesting way of winning it. Ljubicic went for the win on the queen side, but there is another win on the queen side, which is c3. c3 wins immediately, because now this c-pawn is guarding the d2 square, and there is no defense against rook captures on c1. Even if you capture here, for example, pawn captures, there's really no way of stopping this. The knight can't move, the knight is pinned, and there is no defense of rook captures here. Whatever you play, rook f2, then rook captures on c1 is coming. King captures and rook to a1, this will be checkmate. But instead of b3, instead of c3, Ljubicic played b3, and again, there's really no stopping this. His opponent in this position played rook to g2, and here is a nice position for you to solve. It's actually checkmate in 2. Feel free to pause the video and find the checkmate. So as usual, I will give it a couple of seconds for you to decide. For those of you who found it, congratulations, you are an excellent checkmater in 2. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, now as you can see, before c3 was played, so d2 was covered, now b3 was played, so a2 is covered. So in this instance, rook to a1 check. The king has no moves, king to a1 has the capture, and now rook captures knight on c1, and this is again checkmate, because the pawn is covering the a2 square. So yeah, that's the game. Ivan Ljubicic versus Igor Roysor of Moldova. Also the hoodie guy here. I do hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, Ljubicic promised that the next time he will play chess against Roger Federer, that he will record that game, and then we will also be able to enjoy that game. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Ivan Ljubicic for sending me this game. And yeah, as usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, hopefully with another series. Thank you all.